going on, y'all? It's Mike Styles. I'm back with another episode of the Mike Styles Experience. I wanted to just take a quick detour away from what I usually talk about and just kind of talk about a little something different. Well, I guess it's different, but not really, because I think a lot of it has to do with accountability and self-respect. And what made me come up with this was after I watched this video where a Dallas, Texas restaurant owner scolded some patrons of his establishment after they stood up on the tables and twerked and the furniture and all that stuff. Kevin Kelley is his name. He's the owner of TRUE Kitchen and Kocktails, and he was upset in a now viral video after several women stood on the furniture and twerked against the glass wall in the restaurant. And so he went off on the entire restaurant. Now, keep in mind, here's the thing, man. Keep in mind that, he talked to them about the twerking on a few different occasions while they were there. And he spoke to them in a polite manner. So it wasn't just a thing of what a dude just went off, and he's gotten a lot of backlash over it. And some people went as far as to say that the backlash was because of the way he said it. But let me play this clip. Let me play this little audio about that whole situation, because I think it kind of puts things a little bit more in perspective. So let me just let you listen to it.
I invested a lot of money into buying this building, into developing this concept, so black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a... Come on! Stop the music, please! Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? Yeah. No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, take it to Prime, take it to Pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I'm on men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves and you guys are twerking on glass here? If you want to do it, get the fuck out my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it now. Don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
All right, so here's my take on this thing, man. Here's my take on it. It's his business, it's his establishment. He can do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants, because he owns it. It's his. You know what I mean? Even if he loses a few customers, it's still his at the end of the day. Personally, I didn't find anything wrong with him saying it, especially after he told three tables of people earlier about that behavior. So people now are all up in their feels about it as usual. Some people are even talking about canceling him in his restaurant. But at what point do we hold ourselves accountable for our actions and behaviors? When do we start to have a little self-respect, and what is self-respect? It's having pride and confidence in oneself, a feeling that one is behaving with honor and dignity, and what's accountability? It's the obligation to explain, justify, and take responsibility for one's actions. I think a lot of people are, upset because of how he addressed the issue, with some people complaining about the foul language that he used. And see, I think that's a part of the problem too. We sometimes miss the message because we're too hung up on the way it was delivered. He addressed them individually and the behavior continued. So then he, put out a statement to everybody in the establishment. And I think that kind of sets a standard, a code of conduct of how you're going to behave in this place of business, and if you can't get with it, then you got to go. I don't know why some people out there feel that just because they pay their money at these places, it gives them a license to do whatever they want. You have to consider that at any time you fail to meet the established standards of conduct while in a business, you can be asked to leave or a service can be refused. Also, I think that You know, if you look at it, what would have happened if that person or people standing on the furniture fell and hurt themselves? You know, then, you know, it kind of opens his business up to a potential lawsuit and other legal issues, all because somebody wanted to stand on the chairs and twerk, you know. And so we get people now, you know, trying to, I guess, defend this nonsense, you know, talking about the food and the music selection was the cause. Like, that would have made it okay for people to do what they did. You know, it's a restaurant, it's not a club. You know, you don't stand up and put your shoes on nobody's furniture, regardless of where you are. You know, I can't get behind that type of behavior, and I can't, you know, I can't get behind the people who, you know, try to defend it. You know, there's no excuse for it. You know, not only was it disrespectful to the owner, but it was disrespectful to the patrons who were there just to enjoy a meal and have a good time. So everybody that's trying to defend this shit, y'all need to stop. You know what would probably really made y'all mad? If dude would have did like every other like establishment out there and had them immediately removed after he saw them twerking on his furniture, and call the cops. You know what I'm saying? Because I say that because we have seen situations like this before. I'm pretty sure you've seen it, where a group of people were asked to leave because of their behavior, and then they refused and they wanted to argue, and then the owner just called the cops, and that was it. So I think, you know, if you want to be real about the situation, I think he played it, you know, the best way he could without getting the law involved. You know, like I said, people think just because they pay their money to get into a place, they think they can act any way they want to. You know, and whether they knew it or not, what they did was try to sabotage this man's business. And if you don't know what sabotage means, it's the deliberate destruction, disruption, which is what they call a disruption, damage of equipment. The furniture and the glass that they were twerking on could have been damaged, done by enemy agents. I'm not saying that they deliberately did this, but I think the word sabotage still kind of applies to this situation. I mean, that's what they, you know, they tried to, you know, sabotage this man's business, whether they knew it or not. And you see, we have to get out of this party and bullshit mentality where we think it's turn up time all day, every day. Not to say that you can't go out and have a good time, but understand that there's a time and a place for everything. You know, and I think at some point we have to start checking each other when we get off, you know, our square. You know what I'm saying? When we get out of line a little bit, you know. You know, it's either that or we need to kind of distance ourselves from that particular element. And I understand people are gonna say, hey, you know, it's not my business or this and that. But what if this was your business? What if it was your establishment? You know, to me, if dude didn't do anything or if he didn't say anything about it, then all he would have done is just create a new standard for this type of behavior, where it says it's okay to kind of do these things in his restaurant. The next thing you know, today is twerking on the furniture, and then tomorrow you might have shootouts in the parking lots. And I'm not exaggerating about this type of stuff either. You know, I've seen this shit happen before where I'm from in Atlanta, and and also across a lot of different places where I was stationed when I was in the Army. You know, businesses get shut down, and then people want to talk about not having anywhere nice to go. You know, and once you allow a certain type of element or behavior in your place of business, that's usually the type of clientele that you're gonna start to attract. And like the saying goes, all money ain't good money. So when he said, I don't need your money, a lot of people took that as some kind of jab or some kind of attack because he chose to address the whole room. You know, to me, when I look at it from a business standpoint, I think what he meant is that if you're guilty of not adhering to the standards of conduct in this restaurant, he doesn't want your money. And that's because he's not willing to compromise his standards just for the sake of getting money. It kind of reminds me of something that I learned in business where it said that sometimes you have to fire customers. That myth about the customer is always right. It's just that, a myth. When you look at it from a business perspective, it makes sense as to why you have to sometimes fire customers. And a lot of it has to do with the core values, which the core values are the blueprint for your business. And sometimes customers, they can get in the way of you living up to your organization's core values by being disrespectful. When this happens, your actions have to be swift because your team is watching. The people that work for you, they're watching. Any potential investors, they're watching. They want to know how you're going to respond and if you're going to prioritize their well-being and the well-being of your business over money. You can choose to be the type of leader who is, hungry for money, that you're willing to let customers come in and walk all over you and your staff, or you can refuse to allow the disrespectful behavior to continue, regardless of how much money a customer spends at your place of business. So, just to wrap this up, man, I didn't see anything wrong with what he did or said in that situation. And I think the majority of the people that are butthurt are probably, some of the same people he was referring to. You want to get mad, go online and talk about canceling people and say that he shouldn't have a DJ playing that type of music. I mean, that's your right if you want to do that. But at the same time, just like you have a right to do all of that, and you have the right to not go back to his establishment, he has the right to address a situation in his restaurant the way he chooses to. Personally, what he said could have been a whole lot worse. People talking about his language and the way he said it, at least he didn't call them, I'm not even gonna say it, but at least he didn't call them a bunch of B's and H's. But anyway, I don't think he'll have any problems as far as maintaining and attracting customers. The people that are upset, I think it's just a small size element, which is probably, being weeded out. So nothing to worry about right there. If anything, from all of this, he gained some free advertising and he got some new customers, So we'll see how it goes. But that's been this week's episode. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest. I kind of waited until all this back and forth stuff about who was right, who was wrong kind of died down. And I just want to kind of put that out there. But as always, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and stop putting your feet on people's furniture. It's disrespectful. So check me out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, all those good places. And subscribe, share, download, and until next time, take it easy.